Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, what is the equation of the line in the graph shown below? So what I'm looking for is the equation of the line that is in the graph, right? So if you look at the answer choices, okay, I need to find the equation for the line, but I need to find it in a slope-intercept form because that's exactly how my answer choices look like, right? So my slope-intercept form looks a little bit like this. So I'm going to show it to you so that we can make the connection in a few minutes. So the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope. So I'm going to write it down up here. And there's different ways that we can find the slope. I can do rise over run. I can do a formula, remember? Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. We can do a couple of those. I can do rise over run, and I'm going to write it over here, okay? And remember, you can also do an equation for this, which is the one that I'm writing above, okay? So we can use any of those. We are going to do rise over run because since I do see a graph, then it is very likely that I can actually find rise over run without too much trouble. Now, if for any reason you cannot find ordered pairs of numbers that are exactly on the intersection of a x and a y, let's suppose they look like decimals, then you cannot do rise over run, okay? It's very risky to do rise over run with decimal numbers, okay? So let's see if we can find any coordinates that we can use for the rise over run. So I do think that this is a good one. That's 1 point. And let's find another one. I think there's another one here, right? And I think there's another one right here. So you see, I can see the pattern already happening on these points, right? And the one that I'm touching right now, just so that you remember, that's my x-intercept right here on the bottom. And what about the one touching the y? Well, we call it the y-intercept, right? Okay, very good. So those are the points that I can use. Now, one thing that I want you to notice is that my highest point of the line, it's pointing to the left, which means that if it points to the left, that slope, it's negative, okay? Which means m will be negative. So I can easily see that letter C is going to be out of the question because the slope given for C is a positive 4. So I know that cannot be my answer. Is that right? Now, a few minutes ago, we said it looks like this is the y-intercept. Now, what number would that be? Well, notice how it jumps from 0 to a 2, but right here will be a 1. That's 2. This will be 3. That was a 4, right? So I'm going to move it to the other side to be on the safe side because I am going to need that space for something else, okay? So this is a 4. Can you see it? It's a 4 right there, right? Okay? So that's the y-intercept. So it seems that it's at exactly 4. But you know what? We can work it out in a few minutes. So let's do rise over run. So I'm going to go from the x-intercept. Let's see if you know where I'm pointing at. I'm going to go from the x-intercept to the next point. So I'm going to go 1, 2, because notice how I'm counting by ones on the y-axis, right? So that's 2 up. But it goes 1 to the left. You see that? So I'm going to say 2 over negative 1. Because since I'm going to the left, it's negative. But this is the same thing than saying negative 2 over 1. Okay? It's exactly the same. So look, I'm going to go 2 up, 1 to the left. 2 up, 1 to the left. So I can see that my slope is 2 over 1, but it's a negative 2 over 1, okay? Or you can just say negative 2, right? It's exactly the same. So if I come back to my equation for the slope-intercept form, m will be replaced with a negative 2. And the x, of course, stays as it is, okay? And I said that the y-intercept looks like a 4. So if you look at the answer choices, notice how I got a negative 2 as a slope. This a has a negative half, or negative 1 over 2, so that cannot be an answer. So I got between B and D. Notice how the y-intercept, which is right here, is a plus 4 and a plus 2. The y-intercept, it's here on the top. I don't see it on the positive 2. So the answer looks more like letter B, right? Agree on that? Okay. We can actually work out the problem to see if the y-intercept is exactly 4. Now, remember that in this case, I can see that it cannot be on the 2 as the y-intercept because 2 is here on the bottom. Okay. But just for fun, right, we can actually find the y-intercept. Okay. And the way that we are going to find the y-intercept is by choosing one point, which I have not even labeled any points here. But let's go with the first one here, that is 1 and 2. And I'm going to mark it green. So I'm going to choose 1 and 2, where 1 is x and 2 is y. So I'm going to write down my slope-intercept form, and I will replace values. So the y, it's a 2. M, we found it earlier, right? And we said m is what? Negative 2. Very good. Okay? So I'm going to write down negative 2 times x, which is 1 plus b. Okay? So let's work on my problem. Negative 2 times 1, it's negative 2 plus b. Since I want to leave b by itself, I need to get rid of the negative 2. And the opposite of a negative 2 is a positive 2 or a plus 2, whichever way you want to see it. And the 2's are going to cancel out. And I'm going to get b equals 2 plus 2 is 4. So I found the y-intercept right now. Is that right? So look over here. M, I replace it with a 2. B is my y-intercept. So I need to replace it with plus 4, which is the answer that we had decided that it was going to be B, right?